Hi everyone, this is Danny. Welcome to another video here on Danny's Corner. I want to take this opportunity to read some of your comments and try to answer them or try to have another opinion, as there's always an argument to be said for each negative or positive comment at this point. And especially when it comes to this topic, which is religion and or atheism. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I am not going to get to each of your comments. Last time, I haven't posted this video yet, but last time I read through at least 60 to 65 comments, and again, because of other things that I have to do, and it's time consuming as well, I will keep on doing these videos, but just be warned that not all of your comments may be read on a lot of these videos. So it's interesting that, comments have been coming with some of these topics, which is great, and I appreciate that. And I thank everyone for any likes, as that helps to keep this conversation going and to have more exposure. Not only to the views of atheists and or agnostics or religious people, but I think that this particular subject has been only tackled by people who are sighted. And I didn't start these videos with the intention of doing that, meaning tackling this subject. I was going to do it at a later date, sure. But where this thing started was because I actually was trying to convey a message to Christians. And then that's where it all blew up, and that brings us to now. So let me go ahead and respond to a comment, and let me do it a little at a time. So let's do this. This comment was left 3 days ago. And it says this. It was left 3 days ago, as I said. It is necessary to combat myths when those myths are used to cause harm, especially to those who are not part of that religion. I agree with you. It is necessary to combat myths. Now, we must also take into account, it seems that only religion is blamed for believing in myths. And this is where my previous video wanted to get to. It is not only religious people that have myths. There are non-religious people that have myths as well, and it's important to combat those, to fight those with all your heart. What else does it say? I believe Ingersoll said it very well. I will not attack your doctrines nor your creeds if they accord liberty to me, if they hold thought to be dangerous, if they ever that doubt is a crime, then I attack them one and all because they enslave the minds of men. Okay, here's a problem with that. as you, and there's a lot of people that say that, and when I'm saying you, I'm not referring myself to just one person. I'm using you as a society as a whole. So when you say that, what you don't realize is that you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. I don't mean to be rude here. Remember that this is a channel that was made by a totally blind person, and I'm only talking about my perspective on life. And I am not sure how many blind people there are speaking about these things. But it's time that, just as atheists and Christians and people from other religious groups or political groups talk about the things that they're passionate about, it's time that we as a society who has a disability, or a community that has a disability, we start speaking out against some of or all of the myths that are out there, some of the beliefs that are out there. Okay. So one of the things that I find interesting is that as a society, we like to put things in a box, right? And we like to label those boxes. In this case, doctrine. Doctrine is usually associated with religion or with politics. And rarely, if at all, it's associated with academia. It's associated with secularism. And it should be. Doctrine is nothing more than a set of beliefs that are taught to our children or to any other person. It's a set of teachings or instructions. And this is why I said that these teachings, especially when it comes to teachings about people with disabilities, have been taught. Even if no word has been uttered, these beliefs have been taught from generation to generation. And when those teachings start to impact the lives of people with disabilities, we have a problem. Just as if my religious beliefs, I don't even like to call it religious beliefs, but that's another topic for another video. When these spiritual beliefs start impacting your life in a negative way, I should stop. In that same way, your beliefs on people with disabilities are impacting the lives of those people with disabilities. The problem is people with disabilities aren't speaking out. People with disabilities are not tearing those walls down. The statement goes to say that if such beliefs restrict or think that doubt is bad or a crime, then these people should be able to attack or will attack any or all beliefs. I think that's true for everyone. If for whatever reason you are attacking me or my abilities, what I can do, in spite of you not knowing me, then I will start going after you with the truth and say, this is what you may think about blindness, or this is what you may think about people with disabilities in general, but I'm going to set things straight. And it is time that, as a society, we combat those myths. It's very interesting that this came up because I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Americans with Disabilities Act. It was passed in 1990 by George H. Bush. And one of the things that I find really interesting is that although this measure was passed by the majority of the Senate, I believe, there has been little change in this law. I talk about on this channel about a lot of things that have to do with disabilities, about my daily life, my daily struggles as being a person who has a disability. Just turns out that a lot of people have watched this video and other videos having to do with religion. So, as I said, in 30 years, 30 plus years, this law has changed very little. In the meanwhile, we still have a lot of people with disabilities being discriminated. There's a lot of prejudice attitudes out there. And it's interesting enough that a lot of these things are held by a lot of people. Doesn't matter if they're religious or not. The truth is that they're held by a lot of people. Preconceived notions. And whenever somebody tries to steer them the right way, they refuse to listen to anything that we have to say. Why? Because they don't want to change. They want to keep believing wrong as they are. There's a phrase or a saying out there, out of sight, out of mind. Or out of mind, out of sight. And this holds true, especially when it comes to people with disabilities. If we're not seen, then we don't exist. And if we don't exist, why worry about us? Why make things accessible to us? It is interesting that being that this is a secular society, and I've said this on this channel, the United States is not, was not, and will never be a Christian nation, as much as a lot of Christians may want that to happen. That would make that a theocracy. And from history, we've known that theocracies don't work. In fact, they don't tend to last either. And because we are human, we don't know how to handle certain things, even if we believe that we are the most good or saint of them all. Well, we're not. And we're going to make mistakes. Okay, with that said, I think that there has been this thing, right, where again, people with disabilities have been trying to get to you in one way or the other. And all that people have done, and I'm not saying everyone, all that people have done is ignore us. As I said before, out of sight, out of mind. And to treat us as if we don't exist just points at the hypocrisy of it all. Because why pass a law to begin with? Why pass a law that said you're supposed to treat these people this way? isn't that forcing people to do something they don't want to do? Isn't passing a law you basically telling people you're going to do this or else? This is exactly what religious people are doing. But why did this law have to why did this law have to be included? That's because people didn't want to include people with disabilities. There was no thought for us. You get what I'm trying to go here with this statement? It was only until the law was passed, until people were forced to do something, when big companies started taking some interest, or maybe not interest, but they were forced to see us as human beings. So I do believe, although it may not be in all instances, but I do believe that a lot of the people that started to talk about or do some of these things that the law required, they really didn't want to do it. They did it because they had to, but they thought the way we think now, it's a waste of time. Why do it? These people have had long-held beliefs, just like we do now. And just like religious people have their beliefs, and it's really hard to get them out of that. Same thing with secular society. What I'm trying to get here is, when it comes to people with disabilities, there shouldn't be a law. There should have never been a law that says you're supposed to do this, that, and the other for people with disabilities. If people were truly inclusive, if people really cared about one another, they would make sure that all of their public places, the places that are visited by people in general, are accessible not only to the sighted, but to everyone, regardless if they're wheelchair users or if they're blind or anything else. If we have money to install big screens, if we have money to make big churches, if we have money to have all the great things that we have here, if we have money to upgrade those things and make them smart, why are we not doing the same thing for people with disabilities? After all, you guys may become disabled, and you may not know it. It might happen tomorrow, in a few days, in a few weeks, in a few years, or you may know somebody who will have a disability, maybe your own family member. It's important to have these things just in case, because they will happen. And let me tell you, you guys will be better for it. But going back to the remark that as long as your creed or your doctrine doesn't interfere with my freedom of thought, as long as I can live my life, I'm okay with what you believe. Again, that's what people say, but that's not actually what they're doing. Because whenever we have tried to teach them on how to educate people with disabilities or how to help us. You guys remain stuck in your rigid ways. This is the way things ought to work. As I said before, you put us into these boxes. Doctrine is only for religion and or politics. Creed is for religion. The term handicapped only relates to people with disabilities. And you use these things all the time. But sometimes, or a lot of times I should say, especially people, we don't fit into white little boxes as you may think that we should. A lot of people are small-minded. They look at the small picture and not at the big picture, which is the most important thing. I'll get to that because I will respond to more of these comments and give my opinion. After all, this channel is about destroying some of these beliefs that not only atheists have, but religious people have as well when it comes to people with disabilities. I'm just going to remind you, I'm not out here to attack atheism. I'm here to attack the beliefs that both atheists and religious people have against people with disabilities, the preconceived notions, that thought process. And just as you, as I said before, just as you will attack any and all religions when and if those religions interfere with your beliefs, in the same way I'm allowed to do the same thing. The chance that somebody will become religious in the next few years, I don't know. What I do know is that in the next few years, there will be a lot of disabled people out here, more than there are now. And if we don't start now, we should have started this a long time ago, but if we don't start now, listening to them, hearing what they have to say, I don't think that we are going to be having an easy time with them in the future. I hope I have clarified this for you. I'm going to continue to do these videos. Thank you very much for listening. It's really hard to talk about this subject because I know that not everyone is going to get it. Some people are going to still hold on to their old beliefs, and they're just going to attack, in this case, religion, without thinking that they're doing exactly the same thing that religious people are doing. In the same way that religious institutions are indoctrinating us to believe in one way or the other. In the same way, schools are doing the same thing. And as a person who has a disability, you can't question those beliefs. Or can you? That's all I'm doing here. Questioning the beliefs that I have been taught, not only by school, but by church. That's all I'm doing. After all, I'm free to have doubt. Am I not? Isn't that what you guys are advocating for? That's all I'm doing. To put it bluntly, both sides have their fair share of hypocrites. A hypocrite is somebody who wears a mask because they don't want to reveal themselves for who they are, because they're afraid. Thank you for listening. If you've liked this video or any of my other videos, make sure to subscribe, to share, continue the conversation, and I appreciate each and every one of your comments. Thanks.